Hi guys, welcome to Nomad Notes number 3. I am in Melbourne again. This is probably the winter edition for the Melbourne trips. And I am currently in Melbourne at a time when it's just bursting with author and bookish goodness. The YA Matters conference is on, so we have all these lovely YA authors in town. Unfortunately, I didn't get tickets to go to see that. Instead, I'm doing something a little bit exciting, which is going to be getting a City of Literature map, because Melbourne is the City of Literature for Australia, and I'll be getting one of those from the Wheeler Centre, and I'll be showing you around Melbourne. I have shown you some of my favourite bookstores, but I thought I might do a little bit of a treat. I'm also going to see a play, which is My Fair Lady, one of my absolute favourites. If you haven't seen it, you can definitely see Audrey Hepburn in the movie. And then I'll also be seeing the Van Gogh exhibition and going to see a lovely jazz festival tomorrow. So it's a fun-filled weekend, and I hope you enjoy. Let's roll. So our literary exploration starts at the State Library of Victoria, which is utterly beautiful, and it was actually one of Australia's oldest public libraries. Now we walk around the side and find ourselves at the Wheeler Centre. This is where you pick up one of these handy dandy little maps, and we can begin our explorations. Now there are lots of places to visit, but I'm only going to be taking you to a few. So we started at number 31, which is the Wheeler Centre, which is that little pink dot, and we're going to number 10, right across the road, which is in Biggin Books. It is an independent bookshop with a rather large range of popular science titles, and I absolutely adore it. This is honestly, if I built a house, I would build a library or just a room like this. All wood, beautiful shelving. Ah, heavenly. Ooh, the history of science. Oh, I've been wanting to get this title for a while. Yes, please, The Age of Wonder by Richard Holmes. So leaving in Biggin Books, we travel to the Hill of Content, which is a hop, skip and a jump at number 13. And this honestly is one of my absolute favourite bookstores in Melbourne. It is just stunning. It is actually Melbourne's oldest bookstore, and I love it just because of the history section. It manages to have a very concise and beautifully collected history books. But not only that, it is 2 stories, so not only do you get a beautiful selection of fiction, history and non-fiction and children's downstairs, you can then turn your mind upstairs to classics and other non-fiction titles. So it is just utterly enthralling. Doors away is Paperback Bookshop, which is, as the title claims, it only sells paperback books, and it has an extensive selection of new release and backlist titles, which is so helpful when you're just trying to find that tricky book title that you can never quite find. But it probably looks like what my future house will be, crammed to the rafters with books. Absolutely every centimetre is taken up with books and light and gorgeousness. I absolutely love this section for their non-fiction and fiction crime novels, because they just seem to have such a great selection. And also those paperback books that you can never quite find, they manage to have in stock. So heading back into the city and towards a new store I've never been before, and let me just say it took a little bit of finding it, but if you go into Cathedral Arcade and go to the second story, which is a little bit hidden, the stairwell, but you can find it, you'll find yourself at Collected Works, which is Australia's only specialist poetry bookshop. And I have recently getting into poetry, so I was just so excited to go somewhere that specialises in poetry and especially highlights Australian poets. So
So going down Flinders Lane some more, we find ourselves heading to Sticky Institute, which is Melbourne's home of zines. And I've never been here before, so it took me a while to find it, I must admit, but you have to technically go down towards the train station, and there's an arcade within the train station. I know, very confusing, but it is very well worth it because it is absolutely gorgeous little place. And I just had so much fun looking at all the zines. I did buy a few because I just find them so enthralling. But look at this. Pièce de résistance is this gorgeous origami ceiling. Back to the map, and we're heading down a few little alleyways to Timmins. Now, I'm sure if you've seen any people in Australia who've travelled to Melbourne, Instagram, any social media, YouTube, you've seen this entrance, this glorious descent into this bookstore, down the escalators, and you get this view of all these books. It is a book lover's dream. So leaving Dimmicks, we will walk just around the corner to Mag Nation, and yes, this is a store that sells just magazines, ranging from niche titles to mainstream and beautiful stationery. Oh man, I love that cover. So it was an absolute joy to visit because I never really have a chance to look at many magazine stores, but it was just so interesting to see the range and the diversity within this shop. So going on a little bit of a longer exploration now across the Yarra River, we find ourselves at the Mary Martin bookshop, this lonely little dot 18 just across the river, but it is an absolutely gorgeous store. I used to have a Mary Martin bookshop in my local town of Adelaide, but unfortunately they closed down when Borders opened, one of the big mainstream bookstores. But I absolutely love visiting this store, mainly because when we go out to a show or the art gallery, it is just a nice little bookish reprieve away from all those big name stores. Oh my goodness, they have a blind date with the book. This is the first time I've ever done it. I'm a bit worried that I have the book, but I had to get this one. Look at that title. I'm a perfect balance of beauty and danger, tragedy and romance. Yes, please. Oh, damn, that string is so hard to get off. So let's see what we've got inside. So what makes this map so special is that if you flip it over, you actually have a further afield side. So it just doesn't focus on the city centre itself. You actually get to explore all the lovely bookstores in the surrounding suburbs. And I'm jumping on a tram and heading straight up Brunswick Street to number 4, which is Brunswick Street Bookstore. It is so gorgeous. It has beautiful illustrations on the windows if you can't find it, and it is painted this gloriously blue colour, which I utterly adore, even though I do like my natural wood colour shelves. But it stocks a beautiful new releases, backlist fiction and non-fiction titles for you to explore. Last but certainly not least, I am taking you to Readings Carlton, which I have to say is a must-see for anyone visiting Melbourne, any bookish person, anyone who loves film or music. You have to visit this absolutely wonderful store. Readings is such an institution within Melbourne. There are so many stores, but the Carlton one is just utterly breathtaking. They have amazing selection of books. They have music and film as well. They support so many independent and local artists. It is just a fantastic bookstore. Grab a coffee because the City of Literature does not stop there. They have absolutely stunning libraries, book festivals, book fairs, and secondhand bookstores in which you can just indulge in bookish fantasies. It not only boasts books but culture. There is a beautiful art gallery and museum for you to explore. There are musicals and stage shows and theatre, and also the laneways are such a packed full of adventure, cafes and beautiful eateries that it just makes it a gorgeous place to be. Thank you all so much for watching and joining me on this exploration of the City of Literature, and I'll see you all next time on the next adventure.